Why do some wealthy families stay wealthy for generations, while others lose everything within 2 or 3 generations? Why does one fortune multiply and another completely disappear? Today, I'm going to show you one of the financial tools that has quietly helped wealthy families preserve and grow wealth for over 100 years. It's called an Indexed Universal Life Policy, or IUL. But before we break it down, let's look at 2 famous American families. The Rockefeller family built an enormous fortune in the late 1800s. But here's what's remarkable. More than a century later, over 200 family members still benefit from structured wealth planning created generations ago. A major piece of that structure? Permanent life insurance inside of trusts. They used life insurance as a financial system to grow money tax-deferred, create liquidity, pass wealth tax-free, and borrow against it like their own family bank. Now look at the Vanderbilts. Cornelius Vanderbilt was one of the richest men in American history. At the time of his death in 1877, Cornelius Vanderbilt's fortune was estimated at about $105 million, which was more than the entire U.S. Treasury held at the time. But within a few generations, the fortune was largely gone. No coordinated trust structure, no permanent insurance strategy, no long-term wealth architecture. By the time we reach Anderson Cooper, the money had significantly diminished, and Cooper has publicly said that he inherited no trust fund despite being a Vanderbilt himself. So what made the difference? Not income, not intelligence, structure. And one of the closest modern tools to what families like the Rockefellers used is the Indexed Universal Life Policy. Let's simplify this. Universal Life, UL, is permanent life insurance. That means it lasts your entire life, not just 20 or 30 years like term insurance. When you pay a premium, it gets split into 2 parts. One portion pays for the insurance cost. The other portion goes into a cash value account. That cash value grows over time, tax-deferred. You can access it while you're alive. And when you pass away, the death benefit transfers to your heirs income tax-free. An IUL is simply a type of universal life with a unique growth strategy. Here's where most people get confused. Indexed does not mean your money is directly invested in the stock market. Your cash value is linked to a market index, typically something like the S&P 500. The insurance company uses the performance of that index to determine how much interest to credit your policy. If the index goes up, you can earn interest. If the index goes down, you don't lose money due to market losses. And that's because of 3 built-in mechanics: caps, floors, and participation rates. The floor is your safety net. Most IULs have a 0% floor. If the market crashes 20%, your credited interest doesn't go to -20, it goes to 0, not -0. And that's huge, because if you lose 50% in the market, you need 100% just to recover. But if your worst year is 0, you don't need recovery time. You just keep compounding forward. The cap is the maximum interest you can be credited in a given period. If the index gains 15% and your cap is 11%, you get 11%. You give up some upside in exchange for downside protection. Participation rate determines how much of the index gain you receive. If the index earns 10% and your participation rate is 100%, you get 10%. If it's 75%, you'd receive 7.5%. If it's 120%, you'd receive 12%. These 3 mechanics create what I call growth with guardrails. Now here's where wealthy families really lean in. The cash value inside an IUL can be accessed through policy loans. When structured properly, these loans can be taken income tax-free. Instead of withdrawing your money and triggering taxes, you borrow against the policy, not from it. Your cash value can continue compounding inside the policy. This creates liquidity. You can use it for opportunities, business investments, real estate, emergencies, supplemental retirement income. This is why people say, become your own bank. It's not about replacing investments. It's about adding a controlled, tax-advantaged asset to your financial foundation. In retirement, many people face a tax problem. 401ks and traditional IRAs are tax-deferred, not tax-free. When you withdraw, you pay income tax. An IUL, when designed properly, can provide tax-advantaged income through policy loans. It creates tax diversification. And diversification isn't just about asset classes. It's about tax buckets. The three tax buckets are ways to manage your money and taxes. The taxable bucket is where your money gets taxed every year, like in brokerage accounts or savings accounts. You pay taxes on interest, dividends, and capital gains as they happen. In a tax-deferred bucket, your money grows without taxes until you withdraw it. Think 401k, IRAs, or pensions. You delay paying taxes until retirement. The tax-free bucket is the best of the three. Accounts like Roth IRAs, HSAs, and cash value life insurance let your money grow and be withdrawn tax-free, as long as you meet certain conditions. Each bucket serves a purpose, and knowing how to use them can help maximize your wealth and minimize your taxes. An indexed universal life policy is not magic. It's not for everyone, but when structured properly, it becomes something powerful. Not just insurance, not just savings, a financial tool for protection, tax-advantaged growth, liquidity, and generational wealth design. The rich don't just make money. They control where their money lives. And that structure makes all the difference. If you want to see whether this strategy fits your situation, schedule a free 15-minute financial snapshot call with one of our licensed advisors at River Rock Financial. You can find the link in the description below. We'll walk you through your options and show you what's possible based on your specific goals. Because generational wealth isn't about luck. It's about strategy, and strategy changes everything.